All right. Hi, everybody, and thanks for joining us. We're really excited to be able to share some information with you about the city's upcoming urban forest management plan. So in 2019, the city was fortunate to be awarded almost a $900,000 grant from the state of California's Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, or CAL FIRE. Part of that grant is tree planting and an update to the city's tree inventory, which was completed in 2020. But a large portion of it is the completion of the city's first ever urban forest management plan. And this plan will have a 40-year time horizon to help protect and expand the city's tree canopy and bring all the benefits that trees have to more Artesia residents, and ensure the continued success of the city's urban forest in the decades to come. So we're excited to be able to share some information about this plan with you today, get some input and some feedback, and ultimately this will help shape the plan as it's finalized over the next several months. Our consultant on this plan is Davey Resource Group. We're lucky enough to have a great team over there helping us with this plan. We have Allison, Rachel, and Tina here with us today, and they will be able to share some details with you. And we're really excited to get the presentation going.
All right, thank you, Jeremy, for that awesome introduction. And thank you all for attending this virtual presentation. This presentation will be a valuable part of developing Artesia's urban forest management plan, which will provide guidance for the managers and the community urban forest for the next 40 years. My name is Allison Seraphin-Steer, and I am with Davey Resource Group. I am an associate consultant, a certified arborist, and a qualified tree risk assessor.
I'm Dr. Rachel Sitz, and I'm also an associate consultant with Davey Resource Group.
We also have Tina McKeon behind the scenes with Davey Resource Group, and she is a board certified master arborist who is helping the team on this project.
As previously mentioned, today's presentation is focused on Artesia's urban forest and developing a management plan. The city received a grant from CAL FIRE, as Jeremy mentioned, to develop a tree ordinance and the management plan, which will help guide decisions around the urban forest for the next 40 years. In this presentation, we will provide a summary of the findings from a land cover assessment. We'll also present the composition, value, and benefits of the community's tree resource and give an overview of the urban forestry program. So what is the urban forest? It's the collection of trees and woody shrubs that grow within an urban area. This includes both public trees, such as trees along streets, park trees, trees in medians, or trees at Artesia city facilities. But it also includes trees on private property, such as trees in your or your neighbor's backyard, or trees in retail areas. All of these trees are part of the larger urban forest. Urban forestry in Artesia really began with the tree planting and removal policy that was adopted by Council in 1996. The document served to guide the management of city trees, which at the time were cared for by an internal forestry crew. In 2009, to more efficiently and effectively address service requests and provide routine maintenance, the tree trimming districts were established, and you can see a map of those on the slides. The tree trimming districts divided the city up into 5 districts where trees are pruned on a 3-year cycle by the city contractor. In 2012, the tree trimming and removal policy was recommended by the Beautification and Maintenance Commission, which defined the responsibilities of the commission and established criteria for evaluating trimming and removal requests. The purpose of the Urban Forest Management Plan is to describe the urban forest as it exists today and to identify the existing challenges and potential opportunities to preserve and enhance it. Through the community engagement process, we hope to gain an understanding of what you all want to see in your community's urban forest. The plan will communicate the shared vision for the future of Artesia's urban forest and ensure that resources are in place to support community goals. This project began in December of 2020, and according to our project timeline, the urban forest management plan will be completed by early 2022. Since kickoff, we have completed a community tree resource analysis, which is a report that quantifies the composition, structure, and benefits from all community trees. We've analyzed the urban forest canopy across the community using aerial imagery to determine land cover. And we also systematically reviewed existing policies and regulation around trees in guiding documents such as the municipal code and the general plan, as well as others. We will be developing a tree ordinance that complements current policy and takes stakeholder and community feedback into consideration. We engage with city staff and other community partners, including Tree People, LA Corps, the Artesia Chamber of Commerce, and Artesia youth representatives to identify challenges and opportunities. We discussed current urban forest operations with the maintenance division, and now we're looking to engage with all of you to gain an understanding of the community's perspective on the urban forest. The community engagement includes 3 virtual presentations and a community survey. All of these components will be used to develop a comprehensive urban forest management plan that has goals and objectives to guide the management of Artesia's urban forest. A critical component of developing a successful urban forest management plan is to engage with the community, and your input is important for this process. There are several opportunities for you to engage in plan development, one of which is your attendance at this presentation. This presentation is being recorded, so please feel free to share it with a friend or neighbor, and don't forget to provide additional feedback through the online survey, which will be open for comment until mid-October. A link to the survey is going to be available at the city's website, or actually it's currently available at the city's website, and we're going to provide a link at the end of this presentation. The additional live dates for the presentation are listed on this slide. And as mentioned previously, a recording will be available to watch at a later date.
As we mentioned, the urban forest is made up of trees on both public and private property. Tree canopy extends beyond property lines along with the benefits that are enjoyed by the community. The more canopy cover you have, the more benefits you have. To assess canopy cover, we conducted a land cover assessment that looks at the urban forest from a bird's eye view. We found that 56 of Artesia's 1,038 total acres were tree canopy, bringing the canopy cover across the community to 5.4%. More than 76% of the land cover was made up of impervious surfaces, such as buildings, streets, sidewalks, and other hardscape. The assessment determined that Artesia has the potential to support 21.7% canopy cover, but this does not consider other planned uses for available planting space. So in other words, there may be space for a tree currently, but we don't know what other planned uses there might be for that space. So it could very well be impervious surfaces or other land cover. To better understand the distribution of canopy cover across the community, we looked at census block groups. These are geographical units used by the U.S. Census Bureau and typically have a population of 600 to 3,000 people. Of the 23 block groups within Artesia, 7 groups had canopy cover that was greater than 6%. 8 were less than 4%, and the remainder were between 4 and 6%. What this shows is that canopy cover is well distributed across the community. Land use can be a useful tool to explore the differences of canopy cover across the community. We see that tree canopy is highest at public facilities and in other open space and recreation land use zones, with 10.6% and 9.1% tree canopy cover respectively. These areas include Artesia's city parks. Light industrial areas have the lowest canopy cover with 1.4%, which makes sense as these areas often have limited space available for tree planting and are largely dominated by hardscape. In addition to assessing the land cover, we looked at the areas where tree planting and tree preservation should be prioritized. Nearly 170 acres were determined to be available for tree planting on both public and private property. Approximately 13% of those acres were determined to be very high or high priority for tree planting and tree preservation. These areas would experience the greatest benefit from both planting additional trees and preserving the few trees that exist in these areas, as these areas are closest to impervious surfaces and are vulnerable to the effects of urban heat islands. In 2015, the Tree People, a regional nonprofit group, did an assessment of canopy cover across Los Angeles County. This assessment determined that canopy cover in 2015 in Artesia was approximately 8.3%. With our current assessment of canopy cover being an average of 5.4%, it suggests that there was a loss of more than 6 acres over the last 5 years. To help give you all an understanding of how Artesia compares with the surrounding area, in 2012, this study occurred 10 years ago, was conducted by Earth Defined, and it determined that the average canopy cover for the Southern California coast climate region, which falls roughly between Santa Monica and San Diego along the coast, had an average canopy cover of 13.9%.
To better understand the community tree resource, which again is public trees along streets, in medians, at parks, and city facilities, we used the City Tree Inventory in conjunction with iTree Eco, which is a tool that we can use to assess the composition and benefits provided by the community tree resource. The city currently has 2,207 community trees, representing 109 unique species. Mexican fan palm and Australian willow are the most common species, both making up more than 10% of the population. There is a widely accepted rule that no single species should represent greater than 10% of the total population. This is because maintaining diversity in an urban forest is important, because having a large percentage of a single species can have grave consequences if something like storms, drought, diseases, or pests impact the urban forest. Polyphagous shothole borer and sudden oak death are some examples of unexpected and devastating pests and pathogens that highlight the importance of diversity and the balanced distribution of species. Artesia's two most common species, Mexican fan palm and Australian willow, exceed this widely accepted rule. It's important to reduce reliance on these species. A diverse urban forest is healthier because it is more resilient to pests, diseases, and climate fluctuations, and therefore it's more cost effective as well. Trees increase the quality of life in Artesia. Each year, Artesia's community trees provide over $15,000 in benefits to air quality, carbon sequestration, and stormwater runoff. Some of the benefits provided by Artesia's community trees were not quantified. For example, data was not collected to determine the benefits associated with a reduction in energy costs through tree shading or evaporative cooling or reducing wind speeds. But Artesia's trees do contribute to energy benefits. Other benefits are intangible and difficult to quantify. Some examples of these are providing wildlife habitat, increasing property values, and improving public health and welfare. To replace all of Artesia's community trees with trees of similar species and size would cost more than $5.6 million. These trees to date have stored about 544 tons of carbon in woody and foliar biomass, which is equivalent to the annual carbon emissions of more than 107 cars.
Currently, the Maintenance Division provides community trees with routine pruning through 3-year tree trimming cycles. They also remove dead or dying trees and respond to tree-related emergencies. They also coordinate tree planting events and engage the community through the Artesian in information on trees. The Maintenance Division provides routine maintenance to an average of 400 trees annually. Although the city does not have a tree ordinance, they have had a long-standing policy to guide the care of street trees. The street tree program and policy adopted in 1996 and the tree trimming and tree removal policy both identify the importance of trees in the community and have defined how city trees should be cared for.
Community engagement is an essential part for ensuring the preservation and enhancement of the urban forest. Engagement promotes education around the benefits and the care for trees. It also instills a sense of pride in this valuable community asset. Artesia's community tree resource would not be here today without the community. Tree planting has primarily occurred thanks to proactive community members that have sought out grant funding. Nearly all street trees were planted from grants. A recently obtained grant is supporting the current planting efforts. At the beginning of June, the city hosted a kickoff tree planting event. Another program the city has to fund trees and promote community participation is through the Adopt a Tree program. When residents donate $60 to plant a tree, they then receive a plaque to put their address to signify their contribution. While the city can contribute to plant trees on public property to expand the urban forest, there's also a lot more space for trees on private property.
While tree planting is important for expanding the urban forest, equally, if not more important, is preserving the trees that are already planted and growing. The old saying that the best day to plant a tree is yesterday holds true. Because trees take a very long time to grow and mature, efforts to preserve trees have the potential to result in even greater benefits to the community than tree planting alone. In recognition of the importance of preservation, many communities have adopted tree preservation ordinances. Some communities extend protections beyond public trees to large trees on private property through the designation of protected tree or heritage tree, which could include large trees on private property or old trees, trees that exceed over 100 years old, specific species like native species, or trees that are significant to the community's history. Perhaps they were planted by a significant figure in the community, or the tree itself serves as a landmark. These protections often require removal permits in order to cut down these trees, which encourages private property owners to preserve trees wherever possible. In some communities, the designation of protected or heritage trees are compulsory. For others, the city simply requests that a tree be nominated with the approval of the private property owner, and it will receive that designation. The city is considering adopting a similar policy by recognizing trees on private property as heritage trees. And you can provide your feedback on that issue by going to the online survey. You can Use this QR code to navigate to the online survey, or you can use the URL www.surveymonkey.com/r/Artesia_UFMP, and we look forward to your responses. Another opportunity for you all to engage in this process is through a photo and art contest. The city will post details about this contest soon, so keep posted on the city website. Those submissions may be featured in the UFMP. We would like to thank you all for your engagement and participation in this virtual presentation. Again, we look forward to seeing your responses to the online survey and hope to see you in one of our upcoming virtual presentations.
I want to echo what Allie said and thank you for being involved in Artesia's urban forest.